This story begins one night when Shung-hee is walking home alone from work, just like she always does. She slowly makes her way back to her apartment on the outskirts of the city. But the moment she arrives, she senses that something is wrong. She checks around, and not long after that, something horrifying happens inside her room. A year passes. Now we see a man sleeping beside a woman. A little later, he wakes up when his alarm goes off and quietly gets ready to leave. The strange thing is, these two are not a couple. This man is a complete stranger. No one knows who he is or where he came from, but somehow he is able to come and go without being noticed. 2 hours later, another alarm goes off, and the woman finally wakes up. She still looks sleepy, and she feels slightly dizzy. For some reason, she's been feeling like this every morning for the past few days. Still, she quickly gets ready for work so she will not miss the bus. But just as she is leaving her apartment, she notices what looks like fingerprints on the door keypad, like someone had been pressing the buttons on purpose. She wipes it clean and changes the password, hoping to keep strangers from breaking in. And this is where everything begins. This is door lock. The woman's name is Kyung Min. She works at a well-known bank in Korea. Her daily life is pretty repetitive. After finishing work, she usually heads straight home, so she will not miss the train. Her apartment is far from the city because the rent is cheaper there. As someone living alone and trying to save money for the future, Kyung Min has to be careful with every expense. When she gets to the apartment lobby, one of the security guards hands her a package addressed to her. Kyung Min is confused about who sent it and what might be inside, but she accepts it, says thank you, and heads upstairs. From a note left outside her apartment, she realizes that her mother had stopped by earlier. But because Kyung Min had changed the door lock, her mother could not get in. Kyung Min quickly calls her to apologize and check on her. A few minutes later, as Kyung Min is getting ready to rest for the night, she notices something suspicious. In the middle of the dark and quiet night, she carefully checks the door and discovers that someone is trying to open it. Terrified, she looks outside, but there is no one there. In the end, Kyung Min calls the police because she is too scared to stay quiet. They do find a cigarette butt in front of her door, but there is not much they can do. All they can do is inspect the apartment, make sure everything looks safe, and file a report. Even though she is still shaken and uneasy, Kyung Min decides to go to sleep because she still has to wake up early for work the next day. But while she is fast asleep, someone suddenly slips into her room and moves closer to her. When morning comes, Kyung Min wakes up feeling dizzy and exhausted again. But despite that, she still has to get ready and go to work. In the lobby, Kyung Min runs into Kim again, the same security guard she met the day before. They exchange a quick greeting before she heads off to work. During her lunch break, Kyung Min takes some time to check out other apartments. She has been thinking about moving, but after seeing how expensive the rent is, she quickly gives up on the idea. Not long after that, she meets her close friend Hyo-jo at the office. Kyung Min opens up about everything that has been bothering her lately. She talks about the strange noises, the constant feeling of being watched, and the unsettling disturbances that keep happening at night. A few minutes later, she returns to work and continues her duties as a bank teller. She puts on her usual friendly expression and greets customers with a warm smile. One of the customers, a man named Seong-ho, comes in to send money to his relative. But in that moment, he completely misreads Kyung Min's kindness. He starts to believe that she has feelings for him, even though she is simply doing her job. When Kyung Min politely turns down his invitation to go out, his attitude suddenly changes. He becomes upset and accuses her of leading him on. The situation quickly turns into a scene, and the tension rises until security is called to remove him. It has been an exhausting day for Kyung Min. Feeling drained and irritated, she returns to her apartment like usual. That night, before going to bed, she once again checks her door to make sure no one is trying to break in. But while she is fast asleep, something terrifying happens. A man suddenly emerges from under her bed. He covers her mouth with a cloth soaked in some kind of substance. Kyung Min, already deeply asleep, does not realize what is happening. After that, the man calmly goes about his routine, then lies down beside her and holds her throughout the night. No one knows what kind of drug he uses on her, but it leaves her feeling weak and completely drained. Day after day, Kyung Min loses her energy and motivation, and slowly she begins to feel frustrated with herself, without understanding why. Then one night she gets home very late after working overtime, and she ends up missing the bus. Already tired and annoyed, she waits alone, just wanting to get home as soon as possible. Out of nowhere, Shung Ho appears, as if he has been waiting for this exact moment. He tries to force her to go with him, but Kyung Min resists. Luckily, manager Lee happens to pass by and quickly steps in to help her. He manages to drive Shung Ho away, and since it is already very late, he decides to take Kyung-min home safely. When Kyung-min arrives at her apartment, everything is completely dark, like there has been a power outage. A moment later, someone knocks on her door, and she carefully checks who it is. It turns out to be Manager Lee, who has come to return her wallet that she accidentally left in his car. Relieved, Kyung-min thanks him and lets him inside. Manager Lee then offers to help fix the electricity, but something starts to bother her. Kyung-min realizes that she never told him her apartment number. So how did he know exactly where she lives? That thought immediately makes her uneasy. Without wasting any time, she steps out and locks Manager Lee inside her apartment. At this point, she is convinced that he is the one who has been disturbing her all this time. She quickly calls the police and reports him. When the officers arrive, they enter the apartment together. But the moment the doors opened, everyone is shocked. Manager Lee is already dead. The incident shakes everyone, and for a while, Kyung-min is even suspected of being the murderer. Detective Chul interrogates her for a long time. However, because she had already reported suspicious activity days earlier, she is eventually cleared of all accusations. Even so, the aftermath takes a heavy toll on her. Not only is she emotionally and physically drained, but she also loses her job. The bank does not want its reputation tied to a criminal case involving one of its employees. In the end, they decide to let her go. Though it hurts, Kyung-min seems to understand their decision. Still, she leaves with a mix of anger and disappointment. Later in the apartment lobby, she asks Kim, the security guard, to check the CCTV footage. Unfortunately, the camera coverage is limited, and there is nothing useful to identify who has been stalking her or who killed Manager Lee. Kim cannot do much, but he at least helps by checking her apartment and making sure everything is safe. While cleaning up, Kyung-min notices a key lying on the floor. It is not hers. Curious, she starts trying the key on different doors around the building, hoping to find out where it belongs. Eventually, the key opens a room on the top floor. The apartment belongs to a woman named Sung Hye, and it looks like it has been abandoned for a long time. Kyung-min begins to search the place, hoping to find any clues that might help her understand what is really happening. The next day, Kyung-min meets up with Hyo-jo and tells her everything she discovered in Sung Hye's apartment. Among the things she found is a document showing suspicious financial transactions linked to Sung Hye's bank account. It looks like someone has been using it without permission. Kyung-min starts to believe that this person might be the same one who has been stalking her, and possibly the one responsible for Manager Lee's death. Determined to find out the truth, the two of them head to a small convenience store on the outskirts of the city, the place where the unknown person has been using Sung Hye's account. They wait, hoping to identify him, and not long after, the man finally appears. Carefully, Kyung-min and Hyo-jo follow him from a distance, but when they reach an intersection, they lose track of him, so they decide to split up. At the end of one road, Kyung-min comes across a house that immediately feels suspicious. What is even stranger is that when she tries to unlock the door using the same password as her apartment, it actually works. Now her suspicion grows stronger. Slowly, she steps inside to investigate, and then she makes a horrifying discovery. There is a woman tied up on a bed. Panicked, Kyung-min quickly tries to call for help, but before she can do anything, she hears someone approaching. With no time to react, she hides under the bed. Moments later, a mysterious man enters the room, and the woman tied up there is revealed to be Sung Hye. The man injects something into her body, causing her to convulse. Kyung-min can do nothing but stay silent, holding her breath and hoping he will leave. When she sees an opportunity, she quietly moves to another hiding spot. Then, little by little, she searches for a way out while the man continues doing something horrifying to Sung Hye. As soon as she gets the chance, Kyung-min runs. But the man notices. He chases after her as she desperately tries to escape. She keeps running and calling for help, and at one point she manages to hide. But unfortunately, he finds her again. Just as he is about to attack, Hyo-jo suddenly crashes into him with a cart, knocking him to the ground. But he quickly gets back up and tries to hurt Kyung-min again. Thankfully, the police arrive just in time. But even then, the man manages to escape as soon as he realizes officers are nearby. Detective Chul, who is leading the investigation, later questions both Kyung-min and Hyo-jo. They explain everything they saw, and the police begin searching the surrounding area. Not far from there, they discover a body. And in the victim's hand, there is a business card belonging to Seong-ho. The police quickly bring Seong-ho in for questioning, hoping to get a confession. They suspect he might be the psychopath, especially after CCTV footage shows him near the scene at the time of the incident. But Seong-ho denies everything. He refuses to admit any involvement. Detective Chul then meets Kyung-min and Hyo-jo, who are waiting in another room. He apologizes and explains that they cannot detain Seong-ho yet, since the evidence is still not strong enough. With everything that has happened, Kyung-min finally decides to move out of her apartment. She hires a moving service, then goes to the lobby to return her old key to Kim. All he can do is wish her the best. The next day, Seong-ho is released due to lack of evidence. Not long after, he shows up at the apartment lobby and approaches Kim, asking for Kyung-min's new address. At first, Kim refuses to tell him anything, but when Seong-ho pretends to be Kyung-min's uncle, Kim is eventually tricked into giving him the information. Meanwhile, Kyung-min is settling into her new apartment. The place is still messy, with boxes everywhere since she has not had time to organize yet. Once she finishes arranging her things, she receives a package from an unknown sender. Inside, she finds a phone. Soon after, a message arrives. It contains several photos of Kyung-min while she was sleeping. Then suddenly, Hyo-jo calls her. But when Kyung-min answers, she notices something terrifying. In the background, there is a strange man inside Hyo-jo's apartment, hiding. Kyung-min immediately panics, fearing for her friend's safety. Without wasting a second, she rushes toward Hyo-jo's apartment as fast as she can. When she arrives, she tries desperately to open the door while calling out for her. But it is locked and there is no response from inside. Then, out of nowhere, Seong-ho appears and attacks Kyung-min. Fortunately, Detective Chol and his partner arrive just in time and manage to stop him. Kyung-min quickly rushes inside to help Hyo-jo and takes her to the hospital. Seeing her friend in that condition leaves Kyung-min devastated, and she cannot help but blame herself for what happened. Meanwhile, someone secretly breaks into Kyung-min's apartment. No one knows what he wants, but it is clearly nothing good. Later, Detective Chol apologizes to Kyung-min for arriving too late and putting Hyo-jo in danger. It turns out he had been following Kyung-min from a distance, hoping to catch Seong-ho off guard. But things did not go as planned. Kyung-min then visits Hyo-jo, who has already regained consciousness. Thankfully, her condition is not too serious, and the doctors are able to treat her quickly. Not long after, Detective Chul stops by to check on them. Before leaving, he gives Kyung-min something. Once everything settles down, Kyung-min returns to her apartment. She opens the gift and finds a doll with a hidden camera inside. She installs it, hoping it will help her feel safer by letting her monitor her room at any time. Later, while visiting a nearby convenience store, Kyung-min unexpectedly runs into Kim. She feels confused seeing him there, since he used to work at her old apartment, which is quite far from this place. His presence makes her uneasy. The way he acts feels strange, almost like he is trying to get closer to her. Without thinking twice, Kyung-min leaves quickly, putting distance between them. As soon as she gets back to her apartment, Detective Chol calls her and tells her not to go anywhere. He reveals that someone has just murdered Seong-ho. This news makes Kyung-min even more anxious. She immediately checks the hidden camera she installed earlier, and that is when she realizes something terrifying. Kim has already entered her apartment and is hiding under her bed. Moments later, he suddenly appears and knocks her unconscious. When Kyung-min wakes up, she feels dizzy and unable to move. Then she feels someone holding her from behind. At the same time, Detective Chul receives new information from his superior. He finally learns the truth. The real culprit is not Seong-ho. It is Kim, the security guard from Kyung-min's old apartment. Back in the room, Kim gets closer to Kyung-min, revealing his obsession with her. He has been watching her, controlling her, and now he has no intention of letting her go. He makes it clear that if she tries to escape, he will destroy her completely. Kyung-min is terrified, but she does not give up. The moment Kim lets his guard down, she fights back. With everything she has left, Kyung-min attacks him and runs, desperately searching for a way out. She does not even know where she is anymore. But one thing is certain, she has to escape, or at least find somewhere to hide. Meanwhile, using new information from headquarters, Detective Chul arrives at a location where Kyung-min is believed to be held, an abandoned hotel far outside the city. Inside, Kim moves slowly through the building, checking every room as he searches for Kyung-min, who is hiding somewhere in the shadows. At some point, he realizes that Detective Chul has arrived. Without warning, Kim suddenly attacks him, and the two get into a brutal fight. Kyung-min understands that help has finally come, and she cannot just stay hidden. She steps out of her hiding place and tries to help, but things take a tragic turn. Detective Chul is killed by Kim. Now Kim turns his attention back to Kyung-min. This time, she refuses to stay helpless. As he approaches, she gathers what little strength she has left and fights back against him. The struggle becomes intense, and in the chaos, both of them end up trapped inside an old wardrobe that collapses on top of them. They are pinned down, unable to escape. Driven by rage, Kim tries to finish her. But in that desperate moment, Kyung-min manages to fight back one last time. And finally, she kills him. The nightmare is over. Kyung-min survives, but the trauma she carries will never truly fade. So the moral of the story is, if your apartment is cheaper than your sanity, just move out immediately, because saving rent is not worth sharing your bed with a surprise psychopath roommate.